In an official press release, the speaker points to recent comments in the California governor's race where he says nearly all Democrats answered yes when asked if they support providing health care to illegal aliens. The speaker says due to this, Republicans are eager to pass a reconciliation bill and get it to the president's desk quickly. Willie Nelson, Washington.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office says he secretly visited the United Arab Emirates during the Iran war. Netanyahu met with UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan during the visit. The visit resulted in a historic breakthrough in relations between Israel and the United Arab Emirates. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 67 points, the Nasdaq rose 314, the S&P 500 advanced 43, oil around $101 a barrel. More at Town Hall.
Progressive knows that boat days can come with unexpected problems.
It's been a tough Saturday on the lake. I ordered swim trunks in this orange cream color, but it's actually more orange auburn. Oh, and it's swimwear. I probably can't even return these.
If a real problem comes along, your boat's protected 24/7 with Progressive, so you can keep worrying about boater problems. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in D.C.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
President Donald Trump won't have to pay an estimated $83 million defamation award to a columnist until the U.S. Supreme Court gets a chance to review the case or reject an appeal, according to a court entry Tuesday.
The Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals agreed to a request by one of President Trump's lawyers that it let the president delay the payment to E. Jean Carroll, though it required Mr. Trump to post a $7.4 million bond to cover any additional interest costs, a request Carroll's attorney had made. The appeals court late last month refused the president's request for a rare meeting of the full Second Circuit to hear an appeal of a three-judge panel's affirmation of the January 2024 verdict. Bernie Bennett reporting.
A licensed drug addiction counselor who delivered the ketamine that killed Friends star Matthew Perry has been sentenced to 2 years. Eric Fleming received the sentence in a Los Angeles federal court on Wednesday. News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters. U.S. hotels say...
This program is brought to you in part by Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals. Call 281-441-4179.
If you're looking for the best generator when it comes to powering your home when in need, then join Jim Cloud for the Checkapro A&A Gen Pro Show every Thursday at 1 p.m. here on AM 700 KSEV and AM 1540 KGBC, the voice of Texas.
This is Paul Betancourt. You only have until May 15th to protest your property taxes. The tax man says do it now.
Sign up with Betancourt Tax Advisors by going online to btanow.com or by calling Paul's team at 713-263-6100.
At O'Hare & Company Real Estate, we believe there are people in our country and other countries that are trying to chip away at our freedom. We are taking a stand against the tyranny that is happening and want to protect what our veterans and forefathers have fought and died for. Texans are independent thinkers, self-reliant, and bold. If you want a real estate company that has a backbone, give us a call at 281-373-3393. Again, that's 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com.
Dan Patrick for my friend Louis Flory and Ability Tree Experts.
Spring is here and summer just around the corner, which means it's time to deep root fertilize your trees in addition to spraying for insects and disease. Let Ability Trees help maintain their value and repair all damage. Fed and pruned tree will be less susceptible to wind damage and uprooting. Caring for the beautiful and valuable trees on your property that you can't replace should be done by experts. And the experts I use...
All right, we going auto into show open?
40 years.
You want me to turn your mic on right now or no?
comes to taking care of trees. You know, pruning is important for the health.
All right, I got you.
And pruning limits resistance to spring storms and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs. So don't wait to protect your investment at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, Ability Trees is giving a deep root feeding with every tree prune. Ability Trees, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Where should I begin?
Can we talk about this?
Say, what are you trying to say?
Beyond the usual controversial talk.
Blah, 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 on and on.
Over there.
One, two, cha-cha-cha. 1, 2, cha-cha-cha.
Prepare yourself for Craig.
Okay.
Preparing a mighty new spectacle here.
Articulate, stimulating, hit you right in the... there you go.
We start becoming a team right now.
This is the Craig Collins Show.
Lord Jesus. Oh, Lord, no.
Start talking. Talk fast.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Now your host.
He's a good man.
Craig.
That's right. This is the Craig Collins Show. You got to roll my volume down on my bump. Thank you very much, Phil. Producer Phil in studio, and we're doing everything the right way. That won't mean anything to a lot of people listening out there. But you should know, and Phil does know this as the producer of the show today, that I've been doing stuff differently. I've been doing stuff where I push a lot of buttons in here that aren't designed to be pushed in here. So I'm very happy to have Phil in the other room. And that's the first microphone if you want to jump on the air at all too, bud, during the show at all. I'm very happy to have him in the room. He's going to answer the phones for you. So anybody who wants to call in, you'll talk to Phil. And yep, there you go. And if he decides that you can go on the air, then you get to talk to me. You do have the ability to say no to people. I want you to know that, Phil. You do wield a little bit of power. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. But if somebody calls in and you don't like something about them, you do have the ability to decide, no, I don't want this person on the air. I want to leave this person off the air. That is the producer role. The producer is allowed to be like, I think this guy's going to say bad words on the radio, and then you don't have to put them on air. As I said a second ago, and as Phil's grabbing some headphones so he can probably hear me say, I'm probably going to say it again in a second. And then one other thing, and this is not really a big deal to everybody listening on the radio at KSEV or KGBC. I am aware that Phil's microphone is heard on our live stream. So when Phil talks to me in my headset, I am aware that, well, you can't hear me, you can hear him. So he is aware of that too now. You probably will hear him cueing me if you listen on YouTube, Rumble, any of the places where we stream the show, although I think Rumble is down today. So it might not be there. At Radio Craig C on X. On Twitter is a great way to stay connected to me and a great way to stay connected to the show. But yes, some of the stuff that we have going on today, some of the topics we're going to talk about, very much looking forward to doing it. One of them broke recently, and I think this one is actually probably the most interesting. Dr. Oz was one of several people talking about the amount of fraud, the amount of Medicaid and hospice care fraud specifically in California. I think there's about 4 minutes of audio here. I won't play all 4 minutes of it, but I do think this is probably an important thing to keep our eye on.
California Medicaid deferral that the Vice President mentioned is $1.34 billion. Their submissions of Medicare records and the backup estimates are generating major red flags for us. And we have looked carefully at these records. We are allowed to audit, looking back for a quarter. Dan Brillman Capri-Snap, who lead the Medicaid program, spearheaded this effort with a great team. We've discovered $630 million in billing from the folks who are egregiously the top 5% of outliers in billing. This is numbers so big you can't imagine anyone billing for these numbers of patients and that much for each patient. And so we're asking California to clarify for us how it got there. Second big area of observation is when you bill within a state, you should be comparable to the states around you. But in California, that's not been the case. In California, the growth of spending in personal care services, in-home services, is twice the rate of the average of the rest of the country. Let me say that again. The rest of the country is at one number. California is twice that number in its growth rate.
Fraud! That's what he's trying to say out there. He's just saying it in different terms. There's a ridiculous amount of fraud. And once people figure out how to game a system, if you don't fix the game, they game it harder and harder and harder. You've learned that in California now. We learned that in Minneapolis and in Minnesota. We're learning it all kinds of places. And we all already knew it, too, by the way. The thing that I can also say is it's nice to see the receipts for the thing that we all believed was happening. And I think that's even a bipartisan issue. I think most people on both sides of the political aisle, if you call yourself a Republican or a Democrat, you think the government is stealing money from you and from a lot of people and not doing anything to benefit us with a vast majority of the money that they then steal. They steal it and they don't use it. It's not like Robin Hood. They're not taking it from the rich and giving it to the poor. They are trying to take from the rich and everyone else, literally anyone else who is, I just put a call on hold, by the way, Phil. Check out who that is. But they're just doing whatever they can to take as much money as humanly possible from everybody and then put it in their own pocket. A case in point, this out of Minneapolis, this out of Minnesota, again, a Somali grocery store owner charged $1.1 million in fraudulent SNAP benefits just on his own. This is one guy. This broke on Fox News, I think, earlier today, too.
A grocery store owner there now faces felony charges in what investigators are calling a massive scheme involving food stamps. Authorities allege that the suspect ripped off taxpayers out of over $1 million. Joining us now is Liz Cullen, a Minnesota journalist at Alpha News. Liz, what do you know so far about all this?
Yeah, Liz, what do you know?
Yes, Andrew, you're right. Another day, another fraud story here in Minnesota. But this is a Minneapolis grocery store owner. Abdi Dwahid Muhammad is his name, hit now with felony charges for using other people's EBT cards. That's the electronic system that allows people to pay using their SNAP benefits at Sam's Club and Costco. Then he was reselling those items, according to the charges, at his own Minneapolis store. So what's interesting is this.
So it's a double dip in the world of the amount of fraud that this one guy was doing. But the craziest thing to me is not just the access to people's information. It's the 1.1 million number for one guy that owns one grocery store in Minneapolis. And you just compound that number exponentially by all the other people who are also doing this in the world of whether it's childcare or some of these things. And I think we've and whoever was online, call back. If we lost you for a second, I was just about to go to you, so jump back on the phone. But anyway, if we see some of this stuff happening, we know more and more that it's only likely to see another avenue for the same thing over and over again. Because once they do it, if they don't get caught, whoever it is, who's ever doing this stuff, they do a whole lot more of it. All right, let's play this audio. This is part of the COVID cover-up Senate hearing that happened today. A couple pieces of information are pretty interesting in this. First, not a single Democrat showed up to a CIA whistleblower testifying about a COVID cover-up. I'm going to repeat myself. Not a single Democrat even showed up to listen to this person or to try to object to whatever conservatives were saying, to fight whatever they think the political motivation of this investigation is of a CIA individual coming forward and blowing the whistle on a lot of the bad things that were happening there. That's pretty damaging. To be like, we're not even going to go to the hearing because we don't want to be there to have these conversations. Here's a little bit of Fox News talking about this.
Because just a few minutes ago, just shy of the top of the hour, you could see over the left shoulder of Senator Ron Johnson the empty seats of Democrats. And we could show, I mean, look at that room. And even James Erdman, who is the whistleblower witness today, was asked about, and I believe it was Senator, Bernie Moreno, who asked him this, how does that make you feel knowing that those Democrats aren't there? And he says that, of course, I wish that they were. I mean,
you gotta go deeper. It's horrible. That's a terrible decision to be made. And I know if you're not watching on the streams that we put up at YouTube or at my Twitter page at Radio Craig C, my X page, then you can't see it. But it's just a giant set of vacant seats out of that side of the Senate hearing for the Democrats who decided not to be there. Why not have the conversation is the question that I'll continue to ask. There's only a few answers to that question. The most obvious one is you're also on the take, you're making the money, and you don't want to self-incriminate in some way in which you handle these sort of discussions that are happening. There are others, I think. You do want to get on the take at some point, might be another one. If you're not on it, you want to be on it, and that's why you steer clear of the hearing. But this definitely looks bad. So I would think that moving forward, not that this will happen, that if you believe enough Americans' eyeballs pay attention to this stuff, you at least do the performative political thing and show up to the hearing and then try to defend the people who are admitting that there was fraud and abuse and terrible things that were happening. All right, another moment, and this I thought was really the most powerful of some of the things that were being talked about as far as the COVID cover-up and whatnot goes. And this is Senator Ron Johnson going through, I think maybe it's a 3-minute piece of audio discussing how some of this worked. You had a top lieutenant, a top individual working directly with Dr. Anthony Fauci, who admitted once again that Dr. Fauci told people how to destroy documents and information, how to get information on personal. This is not me. By the way, I just want to say this before I hit play on any more audio. I'm not telling you an opinion right now that is mine. This is a person who used to work for Dr. Fauci in a department that Dr. Fauci used to run within our government, saying himself, and I'll play some of his audio too in a second, that there was a system designed to destroy a bunch of the correspondence between the people, including Fauci, who worked for our government and had a lot of control over our health during COVID. They had a system built to hide information. These are not my words again, they're someone else's. That seems like something only guilty people do. I don't know a lot of innocent people who destroy a bunch of stuff. Like, I think the joke is if you're in a relationship and your significant other will not let you even look at their phone, like you can't log into it, you can't check the messages in it, that's probably not a good sign. Refused transparency is bad. Proactive deception is bad. These seem to be the things that were happening under Dr. Anthony Fauci, who does have a pardon and probably can't be held responsible himself because of that, even if the pardon seems like it was not even made by Biden. It was made while he was somewhere else by the auto pen, and you feel like you might be able to fight it, but I digress. These kind of things, they're things that probably should be on more people's minds, especially people who vote Democratic who think they're the good guys. But let's go ahead and hit play on this audio. As I said, this is Senator Ron Johnson doing a 3-minute in-depth exposure of some of the fraud that was going on during COVID and some of the cover-up for Dr. Fauci and others that didn't want people looking into the lab leak theory and how much U.S. money was going to places like the COVID lab in China.
So this is what, and I can do this in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. This is what we uncovered. This is what is being covered up by now the legacy media. On March 1st of 2021, Dr. Peter Marks, head of CBER, the organization, then FDA, that approves vaccines and also is supposed to surveil those vaccines post-market for safety, was given a multi-page briefing by the main data mining analyst within FDA, working with the inventor of the algorithm they used to analyze the VAERS, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. That briefing told Dr. Marks that the current algorithm, because of the nature of the massive number of claims coming into VAERS, by the way, from 1990 until 2020, on average, about 280 deaths were reported in VAERS associated with the vaccine. 2021 is over 21,000. Nothing to see here.
Wait a minute. How do those numbers correspond, or those dates correspond to what was going on in our society? 2021, some numbers are jumping. Continue.
But anyway, so they're using an algorithm. They were warned that this algorithm, because the Moderna and Pfizer are so close together, the way they're analyzing is going to mask and hide safety signals. That's March 1st, 2021. 26 days later, a new state-of-the-art algorithm, developed by the inventor of the original algorithm, was presented to senior FDA officials, showing 49 cases of extreme masking, 25 safety signals, including sudden cardiac death, pulmonary infarction, Bell's palsy, different types of strokes. Month after month after month, they continue to do this data mining. They continue to show additional safety signals. Did Peter Marks, did Anthony Fauci, did President Biden go to the American public and say, hang on here, we've got some data, we've got some concerns? No, they did not. They actually did the opposite. Dr. Biden and our former president in auto pen only, President Biden, they all got their shots live on television. So no, they weren't telling us. And I remember vividly, and you probably do too, the amount of people who were saying that they were seeing some of this information online and they think we should talk about it, and how they got shouted down, how they were silenced, how the actual experts themselves
were deplatformed and taking off of social media, and everybody else said that if you believed any of this stuff, you were a crazy person. Now it's 2026. People are coming forward and outing the truth of all this conspiracy theory stuff that was out there. And the hope is, and I think this is the hope of the Democratic Party and or the Faucis of the world, that you just don't want to pay attention anymore, that you're sick of the conversation. That when I say COVID, you go, this guy, he's still talking about COVID. Why is he still talking about that? And you move on. This is how someone uses the lack of information to control people, to get people to do what they want, to get people to believe whatever it is they want. They tell you to be impatient about receipts as many times as they can. And then when you are impatient enough to stop paying attention, they eventually release the receipts. They're like, okay, they were here, but let's not talk about that anymore. We made the mistakes. We did the things we did. Essentially, the also nothing to see here. I want to play a little bit more of this. I know it's in the weeds. I know he's going through the different avenues, essentially trying to prove that the people in charge knew exactly what they were doing. But it is compelling because it seems like the people in charge knew exactly what they were doing.
No. They blame the unvaccinated for continuing the pandemic. This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. We need to mandate this. This is what government does. This is what the deep state does.
Yes.
I can't explain it all. My investigation now, because I finally got documents. This would never have happened if we didn't have documents. And by the way, just like we found that David Morin's email that now has resulted in prosecution, where he has a FOIA lead, he showed him how to make emails disappear. If you send me something sensitive to my Gmail, we have the same types of evidence in our report.
Yeah.
We need to get to the bottom of this, and right now I'm just using this moment. I need the mainstream media, CBS, ABC, CNN, to step forward and start covering what is a major scandal. How many thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of people are permanently disabled or possibly lost their life because our FDA hid the fact that there were safety signals screaming at them with the COVID injection.
Yeah, that you could be vaccine injured, specifically by the COVID injection, but just in general. It's something that people pretended wasn't really a thing. And I almost called it my favorite. I'm not happy that anyone's ill. That's never going to be a thing. But the most interesting, the most significant person to wind up being vaccine injured and to say they had long COVID and a bunch of other things was Chris Cuomo, the guy who was a longtime CNN dude who during COVID shouted all this stuff down as conspiracy theory. He's now on a television station that brands itself as in the middle. They're not on the right or the left, News Nation. And he said that he himself was vaccine injured and he has had long COVID and other negative health symptoms because of it. That's a couple of the byproducts of what he said he felt. And it's just so amazing to watch people who tell some individuals in our society that they're crazy, that they can't even be a part of the conversation. And remember, as I started this show, and I'll mention it again, this is the side of the aisle that chose not to show up to a hearing about some of this COVID stuff. They're like, we don't want to be there. And yet they're pretending that they're the transparent side of these types of issues and that people who vote for them are supporting the transparent people out there. Well, Nancy Pelosi is worth millions and millions of dollars and claims she's not very good at the stock market, even when she's better than most people on Wall Street. Somehow, some way, she trades better than so many professionals, while claiming she knows very little about it. All right, we're going to take our first break. This is a thing that Phil does in his room. As soon as I stop talking, I will say the call letters to the station, KSEV, KGBC, The Craig Collins Show. More coming up in a bit.
Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. for the SolarWise Radio Show with your host, Sean Davis. That's the SolarWise Radio Show, 8 a.m. Saturday on AM 700 KSEV and AM 1540 KGBC, the voice of Texas.
If you're looking to buy or sell a home and in need of the best realtors out there, look no further than the Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group. They've instilled in each and every member of their team hard work and honest values, and believe me, it's paid off. They truly know the Houston market and what it takes to get a home sold quickly and at top dollar and how to get the best deal possible for your home purchase. They're employee-owned. They care about their clients, so they always go the extra mile to ensure each sale and purchase is seamless and smooth. The Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group have been a top producing real estate team for over 2 decades. Call Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group at 281-440-7900 or see for yourself and go online at thematthewsteam.com. That's thematthewsteam.com. They sell over 1,000 homes a year and they know every inch of the buying and selling market in Houston. Call Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group. I chose them as my realtor. The Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group, your realtors for life. 281-440-7900 or see for yourself online at thematthewsteam.com. That's thematthewsteam.com.
That's the Ronnie and Kathy Matthews Group, brokered by EXP.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
We got a call late New Year's Eve. A father with big plans for his family the next day said his garage door spring just snapped. He couldn't get his car out and wouldn't be able to get his family to where they needed to go. He felt stuck and alone. So we showed up fast with the right spring and the right parts to fix it right. We didn't talk about the price. We didn't wait till the morning. We fixed it right then. Because at Garage Door Doctor, it's never just about the job. It's about the person behind it. The dad, the veteran, the grandpa, the neighbor. Hi, I'm Tommy Mel.
20 seconds.
Once this show up, call Garage Door Doctor today or schedule online at garagedoordoctor.biz. We fix garage doors fast with quality parts designed to last a lifetime because we're proud to serve the people who rely on us.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
But your conclusion is that changing from the scientific consensus of it being from a lab to a neutral position by the CIA was significantly influenced by Anthony Fauci?
It was significantly influenced by Anthony Fauci's injecting himself into the IC. And to go to the second part of your question about what happened, particularly during the 90-day study, we have documentation that shows that as of August 12th, the CIA was considering calling this a lab leak, August 12th of 2021. And then that changed on August 17th of 2021. Right. And unfortunately, because the CIA would not provide us documentation that we asked for, we have no idea why that changed. And that's
And they weren't
essential.
alone because we know the FBI was coming to the same conclusion that it was lab leak as well as...
Yeah, here, I'll stop it there. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSCV, KGBC, the Voice of Texas. That is a CIA whistleblower under oath saying that Dr. Anthony Fauci directed certain types of meddling within the intelligence agencies that were investigating the potential of a lab leak in, Wuhan. All the stuff you already know. All the stuff I don't need to redo. But this is, of course, to left-leaning media, a completely uncredible human being. And to the right, to conservatives, this guy is probably an upstanding citizen who pays his taxes, all of that stuff. I can't tell you that I know for sure which one it is. I don't know any of the people involved in these sort of things. But I know whistleblowing in general puts you at a lot of risk. So doing it because you feel like it, or the narrative is doing it because someone gave you a whole lot of money, doesn't always seem to make sense, especially if the people might have been making a decent living in what they were doing before the whistleblowing. So by and large, you tend to actually believe a good amount of people who come forward and say that this stuff that happened behind the scenes actually occurred. It's dangerous to believe all of them. And yes, people have enough money to pay people to say whatever they want them to say. But all of that aside, the thing that I think is so fascinating about this type of thing is how the media decides to claim one is legitimate and one isn't. And they do that all the time. And it's always on the same side. Like if you were looking for a through line to how mainstream media susses out whether they believe these statements of certain people, you only have to go so far as, are Democrats responsible for something bad? And then, no, it's not true, it's a lie. Are conservatives or Republicans responsible for something bad? Yes, well, then it definitely happened. That's all they do. And actually, I do love this audio. This is the new DHS Secretary, Mark Wayne Mullen, making reference to media and the things they've been saying about him and how little he seems to care and how much his wife seems to think it's sweet, the way that he decides to assume people are really happy with the job he's doing at DHS.
I get what the media says. I could give a rip about that. I get what they say about it on social media. I don't read it. I just assume everybody loves me. My wife goes, "Oh, bless your heart." But I don't care because what I get to do because I chose to do it, and what you get to do because you chose to do it, is make a difference.
Yeah. You know, it reminds me of something that Dave Chappelle said. He said that he was getting in a lot of trouble on Twitter. I think this was during one of the times that he made a lot of jokes about transgender people. And then in one of his specials, he goes, Twitter's not a place. So he wasn't really afraid of all the trouble he was getting in on Twitter because it didn't exist. You don't go there. And Mark Wayne Mullen is saying the same thing. If people on social media are ripping him and attacking him, it's nice for him because he just doesn't go on social media, and he just assumes that everybody is really, really happy, again, with the job that he's doing, which probably is a thing we should all do. But I really like the beginning part of that. And here, you know what? I'll play it again, where he's like, I just don't go on it.
I get what the media says.
I get it. Fine.
Give a rip about that. I get what they say about on social media. I don't read it. I just assume everybody loves me. My wife goes, oh, bless your heart.
I love that part. We should all do that. Honestly, it makes you probably better at a whole lot of stuff. To just walk around and assume everyone thinks you're amazing and all the things you're doing are incredible. Because you know what's funny real quickly about that idea is it reminds me of a person I knew growing up. We both played on the same basketball team. And whenever this person would play, whenever he'd get to check into a game, which wasn't that often, no offense to him, and I'm not going to put his name out there. Not that anyone here in Texas would know who he is. But if he listened to my podcast somehow, he'd be upset that I'm stray shooting at him all these years later. He was not a good basketball player as a kid. Like, he was not. But he thought he was great. And so you put him in the game, he'd play a few minutes, he'd come out, and then he'd take credit for everything good that happened. It was hilarious. But this person is a successful guy in the society we live in today's world, you know, growing up, not a basketball player, but successful in something else. And I've always admired that quality and kind of laughed about that quality of being able to walk into certain situations and never be shaken by what many of us would call potential confidence issues. Like, if you're not good at a thing, at some point your confidence is rattled, unless you're a select group of individuals who never get rattled. And I think they're always more successful people. It's funny, actually, today, this is another aside, I was driving here and I was thinking about the Michael Jordan-LeBron James debate, which has nothing to do with politics. It genuinely has nothing to do. I know that a lot of people, myself to an extent probably included, dislike LeBron because of how vocal he's been about politics and how differently Michael Jordan handled that. No matter what his politics were, he didn't really talk about them. And I know I've talked about that on the show before. But the other thing I was really thinking of, and the thing that really amused me, is MJ played on teams where he was definitively the best player, and he went into the game, and he looked to score points to win basketball games. That's what Michael Jordan wanted to do. LeBron James played on teams where he was definitively the best player. He checked into the game, and he wanted to pass. Someone who wants to pass, looking to pass at the end of a game and not shoot, and I know LeBron had game-winning shots for any basketball people that care about this weird argument I'm using in the world of politics. I know that he shot a lot of, and not as many game winners as Jordan, but he took shots. But I think it's a simple mentality that makes a huge difference in so many parts of your life, to be a shoot first or a pass first person. And a lot of people that I know that are very successful are shoot first. I want the shot. I want the last opportunity. I want the final moment. I want to be at bat at the end of the game, 2 outs, runners on second and third, or bases loaded. I want a chance to bring people in to win something. There's people who are built that way, and then there's people who aren't. And I will say this, to wrap it into a full cyclical, political thing. President Trump is one of those guys who's built like Michael Jordan, in the sense that no matter what he does, it's great. And he'll tell you it's great, and he'll believe that it's great, I think. And oftentimes you wind up seeing the good in it if you like him, and you see the horrible in it if you hate him. But he's one of those guys who walks into a room, he's like, I'm going to do great here. And right now, as President Trump a few hours ago landed in China, I wonder what kind of conversations they're having. And I know they're profoundly different than if Biden or someone else is in office and saying certain things. Here's the way to say this, actually, and this is a bit of a rant, and I'm going to get back to some audio in a second. President Trump is the kind of guy who walks into a room, says a lot of stuff, and then leaves that room. And the world leaders that are opposite the table hope that the stuff he said isn't things that he actually does. Like, that's the sense I get. And I remember this military guy told a story about how President Trump negotiated with terrorists. He would sit down and this doesn't happen often, but you'd sit down at a table. You'd look at a guy who's essentially in charge of a terrorist group, or connected to a terrorist group. And this is true, according to this military person. President Trump slid a photo of the guy's house to him and the location of the house and said, you do what we want or that doesn't exist anymore. And the guy wound up doing it. We wound up having people work with us. That's one type of human. That's not the Joe Biden type of person that's out there. That's not the Anthony Fauci type of person who's deliberately hiding and deleting stuff and doing everything they can. There are people who would own their mistakes in a way, and I'm not necessarily saying that this is any politician who does this, because a lot of politicians don't own their mistakes, but own their mistakes in a way where you'd think you could actually overcome them as opposed to needing to go around them. It's someone who thinks they can go over the wall or through the wall and don't have to actually find a path completely around it. Those are people that I often admire. All right, let's play one other thing, and I definitely think Michael Jordan is better than LeBron James. I'm just putting it out there definitively. It's not even close, to be honest, in my opinion. All right, this is J.D. Vance. He's talking about red states, blue states. He's talking about the basic good in our society of rooting out fraud. And what I thought was really interesting about this audio, some of the places, of course, it's coming from, some of the news stories today, is how simply true this is and how obviously it doesn't feel true to a lot of people out there who are yelling about the politics and the one-sided things they don't like, and not actually talking about the fact that as a group, this administration is rooting out fraud that saves all of us money.
You may think, obviously, this is a Republican administration. We're all proud Republicans up here. You may think that this is purely a red state or blue state issue. That's actually not true. We see Medicaid fraud issues in Ohio, the state that I used to represent in the United States Senate. We also see Medicaid issues, fraud issues in a state like Maryland, which is obviously a very blue state. But both Ohio and Maryland have worked with us to take this issue seriously. They've worked with the guys behind me. They've worked with our entire team to make sure that they take fraud seriously. Again, this does not have to be a red state or a blue state issue. This is just basic good government. However, states like California, states like Hawaii, states like New York have completely not taken the fraud issue seriously in the Medicaid program. And so for those states that refuse to get serious about fraud, we are going to turn off that anti-fraud money. And if we continue to find problems, we can turn off other resources within their state Medicaid programs as well.
Do it! That's what I would say in response to that, Mr. Vice President. Do it. Turn off everything. My favorite part, I'll say this, and this is sort of disconnected, but I can't help it. My favorite part of every time when the government shuts down is that it's not so bad for me and you. Any part of the government, when it's shut down, it's bad for people who work for the government. It's bad for our military, and I'm never okay with that. Military men and women should absolutely be getting checks cut no matter what happens with the stupid politicians in D.C. But by and large, it's not really bad for a lot of us. We don't notice all that much. We might notice some things at the tail end of, say, a shutdown. They tell us all this inflation and stuff can be tied to some of those things from time to time. But my favorite thing about the fear of the shutdown and the way that the politicians talk about it is that when the government actually does go away for a while, my life not all that bad, not all that different. And I think that some people might argue, they might try to say that, well, the government's still doing stuff and they're just going to assume they're going to get their checks later on. What if they didn't? What if a whole bunch of this money didn't wind up going anywhere? No one got, well, I want people to not be all that screwed. But I do think there's a lot of people who have government jobs that don't need them. And that's another thing I loved about DOGE and the amount of firings that were recommended from the waste, fraud, and abuse department that Elon Musk was in charge of, because we need to fix the problem in D.C. Democrats and Republicans agree with that. And I keep saying it on this show that it's so profoundly broken. All right, one last thing I do want to play, and then we'll take another break here in a little bit. We'll come back. We'll do some more fun stuff. But I thought this was obviously like a logic step that many, many people can make. This doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out the truth in the audio I'm about to play. And yet it seems like it needs to be said because of how many people, and especially how many individuals that want to convince you that this isn't true are pretending as though this isn't obviously the reality that we will soon be. And I'm being purposefully indirect about what I'm saying because I want you to be able to figure it out like I did, and you will be. I hear some audio about some of what's going on in Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, and the price of gas.
Mr. Speaker, you said more than 2 months ago that there would be a temporary blip of high gas prices. Now they're still sky high. Are you all being straight with the American public about how much pain they have to endure for this war?
Yeah, of course we're being straight with the American people. We always are. The president's working earnestly to resolve the situation in the Strait of Hormuz.
Look, this is not going to last forever, and gas prices are going to go back down.
How do you know that?
Well, I know that because this war is not going to last forever.
We knew it was going to take place. So the fact of the matter is everybody relax. Fuel prices will go
Relax.
down. Iran's going to end very, very soon.
Yeah, here's the thing. And this is the difference between what Biden was fighting and what Trump is fighting. The war will not go on forever. The war will not last indefinitely. It won't. It just, I know that that's true. And I'll be able to demonstrate how accurate I was over the next few months when I think even before the midterm elections, the war is entirely over between the U.S. and Iran. And hopefully we got all the things we want because we should get them. Iran has no reason to believe that they have any leverage in those negotiations. The war that Biden was fighting that caused terrible, horrible gas prices was against oil and gas companies. That was a long-term fight. That was a thing where places in California were saying in a few years you had to buy an electric vehicle. And if you didn't buy an electric vehicle, you had to pay a whole bunch of extra money. That's a profoundly different thing. That's a thing where politicians are benefiting a certain industry. They're probably doing it because they're making money off of it or whatever other stupid political reason they're doing it. None of it's good for us. And some of that's gone away. Places like California have stepped back from some of the things that were happening during the Biden administration to force green or clean or whatever they call it energy on us, even though, and I do love saying this, the lithium battery is not made with clean or green energy, and it's necessary for the car. My favorite, actually, I'll throw this out there before I take a break. My favorite TED Talk that you can look up. It's definitely not by a conservative guy. TED Talks are overwhelmingly not conservative in general. But one of my favorite TED Talks is a person who for a long time worked in green energy and clean energy. He deeply involved in all of the different planning for electric vehicles. And he said that he did an experiment while he was working at one of these places in which he looked at how much energy that's not green or clean or whatever you call it was needed to create the battery that goes into the electric vehicle. And it was, I think, 10 to 12 years worth of driving your car, if you have an electric car, on your own for you to break even from the amount of money it costs to create the vehicle without green energy and to create the battery that you can't make with green energy, and then say, and now you're saving society. So it was a moronic discussion. The basic point within the TED Talk, which he takes a while to get to, is it's definitely not true that you're doing anything productive or impactful, whatever you believe it to be, in our society at all by buying an electric car because of the amount of effort it takes to create the car. I've said that enough times. I'll repeat it one more time. And it is hilarious to watch. And then it's hilarious to send it to someone who definitively believes in this stuff. How much of a difference you can make by not buying your awesome truck that is powered by gasoline and buying something else, because you see these people's brains melt when they have to watch that, if they actually do watch it at all, because they don't want to believe a thing that's not even coming from the enemy. It's not coming from the right. It's coming from a left-leaning TED Talk. But I think that those simple facts matter, and they're very, very often ignored by people who don't want you to know them for a variety of reasons. All right, I should give out the phone number more, especially when we have a producer sitting behind the board capable of taking calls. 281-558-KSEV. That's 281-558-5738. If you want to call in, if you want to be on the show, 281-558-5738. Before we get out of here, we will do my favorite segment of the show after we take a break. It is called the Quick Four-ish. I continue to mention that I stole it from Dana Lash because, in fact, I did. She does a segment that's called the Quick Five. I think I'm even going to steal her intro and just put my voice over it because I fill in on her show. So I don't know how mad she could possibly be. We'll find out. I can text her, be like, can I please, before I do this? But anyway, it's called the Quick Four-ish. We talk about not serious. We talk about silly stuff. But you can call in and be a part of the show at the end if you want. 281-558-5738. A quick break, a lot more. This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas.
I started my first business at 12, mowing lawns for about $5 a yard. I learned if you do the job right, people trust you, and that made me work harder. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello, owner of Garage Door Doctor. From repairs to upgrades, call Garage Door Doctor.
You know, where we go in life matters, and what we do matters, and we know that taking the wrong road won't produce the best outcomes. Hi, I'm Kathy with Baker Mortgage, and we want you to take the right path when it comes to your mortgage. You know, we live in a world of information overload, but always consider the source, and these are not generally going to be from your big bank or a random offer that comes across your screen. Remember, you're always going to get a better deal on one that you go looking for than one that comes looking for you. You need to deal with somebody who gives a you-know-what, whether or not you're happy in the end. At Baker Mortgage, we do it right. We haven't been around for 68 years because we're lucky. We don't sell CDs, insurance, or anything else. We just provide a great mortgage experience. Isn't that what you're looking for? Call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
If you have roof problems, you can sure see them when it rains. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing. If you see a leak, call me immediately, 281-251-0304. I'll send over the Tejas Roof Repair truck.
That truck has everything our experienced crew needs to fix your roof, right then and there.
The Tejas Roofing crew has been working together fixing leaky roofs for 15 years.
It's not a pretty truck, but it has everything we need to get the job done. I kind of like the way it looks.
Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't.
What's the time to do the town hall news?
Put off fixing a leaky roof, call me at Tejas Roofing and I'll send over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs or a new...
I got you.
Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 281...
5 seconds.
304. That's Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
This is the Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. We do something at the end of the show every day. 1 hour of radio, fastest hour in radio, I feel like, a lot of the time. I call it the quick four-ish segment. These are sillier topics. Feel free to still contribute if you want. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738, or message me on some of my social media at Radio Craig C, and I can see some messages there, especially if people are watching on Twitter. You can watch the show on Twitter. All right, a few things I saw. The first one, a mother was horrified at something her daughter told her about, and this whole thing is on the internet because, darn it, it has to be. I think it's on TikTok and Instagram. The mother is being told about something that her daughter refers to as car ranch, not a place you go, a food item. I will play a little bit of this audio. The mother is not okay with her daughter being happy about and potentially consuming something, again, called car ranch. Here we go.
We're having dinner, and my 17-year-old daughter says to me, "There's no ranch." And I said, "I'm sorry, I guess we're out of ranch." So she says, "Hold on." And she gets up, and she walks out of the house, and she walks right back in. And she goes, "I just remembered I have car ranch. When I go to Chick-fil-A, I just get extra packets of ranch, and I just keep them in my car." I said, "How long has that ranch been in your car?" She's like, "I don't know, months." You can't just eat ranch that's been sitting in a vehicle. We live in Florida. That is a recipe for explosive diarrhea. She goes, "It's fine. Open that up, dunk, eat."
I got to be honest, I'm not sure who to believe on this situation because it's the packets of stuff, that are the sealed packets of things. So if you just had a bottle of ranch in the back seat of your vehicle or in your car somewhere, and you told Ma it's totally fine, it's totally okay, I'm going to go grab us some ranch, and you come in with an open bottle, I think that's 100% of the time going to be a problem for you and your body. I think that the car ranch that the kid is describing, because I do this without leaving it in the car. My wife and I will get a few extra sauce packets if we go to a fast food restaurant, and we throw them in the fridge. And I don't know, I think we throw them out if they take too long to be out there. But this is, to me, a smart financial way of doing things. You don't steal a bunch of the sauce packets. That's just wrong. That seems above and beyond. But I work in radio. Producer Phil works in radio. Having a couple extra sauce packets with you from this is okay, Phil, you're nodding your head. You think that this is an appropriate thing to do. Would you eat the car ranch that the young woman described or no? Sounds like a no.
I plead the fifth.
Okay, you'll plead the fifth. Yeah, she said she has the packets of ranch that she doesn't know how old they are from the fast food restaurant. To her, she refers to that as car ranch, and she thinks you can eat them at any time. I think a sealed packet will last a lot longer than the mom in that video does. But yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, you just can't call it. I think the branding is the problem, man. You can't call it car ranch. That doesn't sound.
It doesn't sound very appetizing.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like an appealing thing. I wouldn't want to be over my buddy's house and him be like, "Nah, man, I got some ranch in the car," and then go get his. Okay, all right. A couple other things out there that I saw for sillier topics. Americans want 2.4 more hours per day to quote have fun. The average person says they'd want 17 extra hours a week, where they don't have to do anything important and they can focus on entertaining themselves. However, that's actually done. 48% of the people say our lives just need to be more fun than they are. 89% believe that having fun, especially as you get older, and even more so in a relationship, is the key to success, the key to longevity there. I will say this about the whole topic. My wife seems to like the most about me when I can make her laugh at something really dumb, say, in our apartment before we go to sleep at the end of the night. Like, I do something uniquely stupid, some sort of inside joke for the missus and I. She laughs really hard. I feel like those things are winning in the world of a relationship, especially if you've been married for several years like I have. And I especially know that I've succeeded when she tells her mom on the phone the dumb thing I did the next day, because she talks to her mom a lot. So I agree with this. I agree that stupid, fun, just dumb, whatever you want to call it, things, they give a lot of release or a lot of relaxation to all the things that are terrible that exist in our lives that we do that are not so much fun. But I just don't know, again, this might be a branding thing too, if you can describe it this way. Because if I had somebody tell me they just want to have more fun, they sound like a child. They sound like a not an adult person, because it's not the way you should say it. I think that you just want to relax. You want to, do something that takes your mind off of whatever the serious stuff you're dealing with. There's a better way to sell this idea, but I do like that a lot of people think it. And I do also wonder if a lot of people would like to act more like kids and feel like they don't, and it might be freeing to do that. Do you have thoughts on this one, Phil? Something you wanted to say?
So with that one, I kind of can relate because, I honestly did wish I had more time in the day to do more, like fun, more. Like,
would you call it more fun, though? Or would you say, like, you just want to relax, you want to... Because that's fine.
A little bit of both, you know what I mean? Like, I would like to enjoy both aspects of it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would rather be in the middle of both having fun and relaxing because that's something that's just going to clear my mind in general.
To me, if somebody said to me they want to have more fun, I picture like a kid wanting to go to the play place of a fast food restaurant and jump in like the ball pit.
Yeah.
Like, to me, that's just a fun thing. Can't do that as an adult.
Nah, I guess they're talking about more so grown people fun. Yeah, I think they'll be more so considering that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I get it. I just don't want to get thrown out of a McDonald's, is what I'm saying. I don't want that to be a problem.
Nah, nobody wants that.
No, although occasionally, dude, the bounce houses that people get, they look fun. They look like the kind of thing. I saw somebody rented one for Mother's Day this past weekend, a neighbor of mine, and everybody's jumping in the bounce house. And my favorite part of the bounce house, too, is when it starts to deflate and no one's in it because it looks uniquely sad. And I wanted to have a little bit of fun myself, man. And that wouldn't have been allowed.
Nah, that's never a bad time. I ain't gonna lie. I love the bounce house too.
See,
so I can't even go against
right.
it, man.
Dude, I went to one of those trampoline parks. This was a couple years ago. This was not in Texas. And I am a 40-year-old man now, so I was 38 at the time. And I had not done trampoline jumping since I was a kid. But it was one of those places that has like the basketball court on the trampolines. And I was having a bunch of fun. It was a uniquely great thing. But I remember I looked around. We went with a couple of friends who have kids. I was the only adult on the whole thing. Like, there was a moment where I was sitting there. My wife was sitting off to the side, having a conversation with our friends who had brought their children. And I'm like, yeah, I'm playing too much for a 38-year-old guy. I don't even seem like I'm watching any of these kids. To be honest, I was dunking on some of them. So, like, it really wasn't like the adult who's, being the most responsible person. that's a problem. I think that people need to realize that we can do the thing I was doing because it was inherently a good time.
Yeah.
I had a great time.
Yeah, and that's the most important part about it.
Yeah.
How you feel about it after you're done with it. You
Sure.
know what I mean? Like having a good time in that type of aspect and that type of like environment. Yeah, it's
No. And my favorite part too is I remember we walked up to the checkout counter at the beginning, like when you first show up there, and they asked how many of like the socks we wanted, because you had to buy these special socks to go on the trampolines, and I said 2 because we covered the socks for my friend, my wife's friend, her kid, and me. And my wife was laughing really, really hard when she's like, you have 2 kids, you and this other actual child that you're buying socks for. And I'm like, yes, I'm going on the trampolines. Why would I be here if not? I have the same policy about the beach. Anytime I go to the beach, I'm going to go in the water.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why people don't do that. Even here in Texas, when the water's maybe not the same as a beach other places, it's been the guy from the Bahamas saying it the way you do.
Hey, man,
I get it.
Got to keep it a book.
I know. Hey, the beaches are nice right now. The temperature is kind of perfect right now for it. My wife and I like doing beach weekends. But whenever we go, and my mom raised 4 kids as a single parent, it's uniquely cheap way to spend a few hours of your weekend. I always go in the water. I refuse to not go in because it just feels like you drive all that way to see that thing, to just sit outside of it. That makes no sense. If I wanted that, I could just stay at home.
I agree with you, but
all right.
But Galveston is a kind of a different beast.
No, we go further, man. We don't go to Galveston to go in the water. It's actually not that. Anybody who thinks that it's bad, and I think a lot of people who've lived in Houston a long time either agree that it's like dirty water or they don't. They know that it's not. Because if you go in and you cup the water and pull it up, it looks nice. It's just all of the rocks and sediments and things in there that make it look gross. But it's supposed to be good if you actually cup it and look at it. Phil's not looking at me like he believes me.
Yeah, I'm gonna be biased in this one, Craig.
That's fine.
I
That's fine. I go to Surfside Beach or actually Matagorda. These are 2 beaches I recommend if you haven't been there. Matagorda for sure. It's further. It's like an hour and a half drive. Surfside, excuse me, is only about an hour from here. And the further you go south, the nicer the water gets. But if you get to Matagorda this time of year, it's pretty much completely clear.
I'm going to take a trip out there.
Do it. Take the missus, go to Matagorda, tell her that this was all my idea. I want some credit. But this is something I did for my wife a couple times, and we like it. There's still no waves, so there's still that.
You just bummed me out.
I know. There's sort of waves. I have a boogie board now, by the way, too. I had a boogie board growing up. This is so silly at the end of the show to talk about this, Phil. But I had a boogie board growing up as a kid, and I haven't owned a boogie board as an adult. I used to surf. I know how to surf.
Okay.
But the water here is not surf-friendly. You're not going to do that. So I bought a $5 boogie board from Five and Below, and I was out there, I think this was 2 weekends ago, at the beach boogie boarding around a bunch of kids again. It was just me and a bunch of children. I don't know why this happens. I don't do it on purpose. And I come in and the wife makes me a sandwich and I'm sitting on the beach. I'm eating my sandwich made by the missus, holding my boogie board that I bought for $5, realizing that some people never grow up.
Yeah, I mean, hey, man, Craig.
Hey, yeah, just do it. I feel like you're judging me and you're not trying to say it.
I'm down with it.
Okay,
I'm down
all right,
with
cool,
it. I'm
cool.
down with it. It sounds really fun,
cool.
so I'm down with it.
I heard that Craig come out a second ago that sounded like Friday.
Come on.
Yeah. Oh, Craig, no. Yeah. By the way, I always know I've screwed up if somebody starts to sound like the movie Friday when they're yelling my name at me. All right, we're out of here. This is the whole show. I had another topic about peace signs and bunny ears and selfies and how you shouldn't do it because the technology does actually exist to steal your information. People can steal your fingerprints if you hold your fingers up facing at a camera. This is the craziest thing I've seen in a while, but obviously technology has gotten this good, and zooming in on photos and videos has gotten this good. So there's a whole big warning out there about how you should not do that. You shouldn't show some of the most uniquely identifying things about yourself in photos because you're screwed. But we're out of time. We can't talk about that any more than that. Craig Collins Show, KSEV, KGBC, the voice of Texas. We can play the sounder. I'll just skip the out. Just do right to the sounder.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters.